what happens is like we stack all the really cool features into the $67 price point. So we say, look, you can make unlimited videos with the $67 price point. You get resale rights with the $67 price point. You don't get any of that stuff on the 47. So really, nobody's going to buy the $47 price point.
Sure.
All that happens is you're just increasing your conversion rate by having the other price.
Boom, 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 boom. What's up, everybody? You're listening to the Hustle and Flowchart podcast with your boys, Matt Wolf and Joe Fier. Check it. What's up, y'all?
Sup, Matt. Oh, yeah, and y'all listening. It's actually probably one person listening.
Just the one of you?
Typically, it's one person listening to a podcast at a time. I think.
Welcome back, all one of you.
All one of you. That's nice. Is that how you address people?
Yes.
All one of you. How are you today?
Yeah. That's what when you come over to my house and we're sitting down to record our podcast, I'm like, welcome all one of you.
And then I look over my shoulder both ways, but oh yeah, it's me. Okay. Yeah. He's just kind of awkward. It's okay.
Yeah. If you don't know that by now, then you haven't been listening to the show long enough.
Oh man, it's true. And it is the end of the day. That's when we record our intros.
I just live in my awkwardness. I just embrace it.
You embody it very well.
I embody it and I spread my awkwardness like I don't know. I don't have a good analogy.
All over the podcast airwaves.
I'm sure if I was to keep going with an analogy, it would have just gotten dirty somehow.
That's why I was lifting my eyebrows going like, what is he going to say next? I don't know, but right now I'm going to transition to Joey Xoto.
Joey Xoto.
Not a Xoto. Just Xoto.
Yeah, Joey Xoto.
He's got like the coolest spelling last name, by the way.
Yeah. Xoto.
It's badass.
Yeah.
It seems like, I don't know.
Like X. Yeah, you could go around and be like, what's your name? I'm Joey X. What up?
Dude, that's like a hacker name.
Yeah, Joey X. That's his real name, too.
Yeah, I think it is.
I don't know.
Did we ask him that?
No.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay.
Whatever.
Anyway.
Joey's got a badass name. It's almost as badass as mine, but just kidding. equals here.
Okay.
Okay, Wolf.
Okay.
We all got cool ass names.
Okay,
all right.
Fier boy.
Joey Xoto. He was very gracious with his time.
Yeah, this is on the longer spectrum of most of our shows because we were talking about really, really, really good stuff. We covered a lot of ground. We talked about the story of his software company Videos and how that came to be. They've done over $30 million.
They do $30 million in as a SaaS product, yeah, and they're doing something like he actually didn't say it on there, but they do killer MRR. I think it's almost to $500,000.
Yeah, they're running about that's what our notes say here. Yeah. So if these notes are wrong, I'm sure Joey or somebody will call us out on them, but they're approaching the $500,000 a month in recurring revenue.
Yeah, monthly recurring. I mean, Joey's a badass in videos, so let me just spell out the name because it's not totally obvious. VIDDYOZE is the name of their company. Really cool tool. Check it out. And
let me give a quick rundown. So basically what this does, they're not a sponsor or anything like that, but I feel, I don't know if we really dove super deep into what the tool does on the episode. So I'm just going to real quick, basically what you do is you take your logo for your brand and you upload it into their tool and it makes the really cool stinger front of, what do you call the front of a video? It's
like a logo entry. Yeah. Bumper, stinger.
Logo, stinger, or bumper.
Whatever you want.
And it makes those. That was kind of the original version of videos, but then over time they added more and more and more video templates. And now there's you can just do all sorts of crazy stuff with video with this tool now.
It totally up levels your video production. You can use it for Facebook ads, promo videos, whatever. So check it out. It's super cool and super cheap too.
Yeah. VIDDYOZE. And so we talked about the story behind videos. But then he's also a very prolific affiliate marketer as well. And, if you've been listening to our show for a while, you know that affiliate marketing is our game. We love affiliate marketing. That's what we do. That's how we make most of our money. So we wanted to go down that rabbit hole with him and talk a little bit about what he's doing to make affiliate sales. And the way they're doing it, it's simple, but it's brilliant. And it's something that nobody else is doing.
Yeah.
And so he breaks down what they're doing to sell affiliate stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. He breaks it down really deep. And he also broke down... He broke down the way he progressed to this point of videos. He actually talks about the failures, successful launches, a bunch of failed launches, and we broke down why they failed, what caused the successes, and especially with videos, he actually really dove deep into how they've grown this thing. And I thought what was really cool is one of his partners, David Chamberlain, actually is a guy that we go way, way, way back with.
Yeah, almost 11 years now.
Yeah, it's crazy. So we're in the same coaching program with him, and he's a big pricing guy, I guess, and there's actually good pricing at the end of this, a pricing type book that he recommends, but pricing is so powerful in their growth, it seems like that was a big piece of everything they've done. And Joey lines out exactly what went into the pricing model and why, like the psychology and how you can actually use that for scarcity and, promotions, even with affiliates and ads. It's really fascinating. And just that alone, I think you can gather a lot, because pricing is such a common term or thing that people get stuck on.
Yeah.
But there's like a whole psychological thing, but there's also ways to use that for marketing strategy as well.
Yeah. So if you've got a product and you kind of struggled on pricing, we do have a pretty good discussion of that. And then kind of towards the end of this episode, we actually dug into a topic that I think has kind of become one of mine and Joe's favorite topics to talk about on the show. And that's the topic of mental health and burnout, and how do you constantly stay, excited about running a business, and how do you get up every day and keep doing the same business over and over again, and the mental toll that it takes on you, and how to sort of counteract the mental tolls that it takes on you. And quite honestly, you're probably going to hear us talk about more and more of that kind of stuff on the podcast, not as the main topic of every episode, but we just love diving into that topic because the tactical stuff we talk about, how to do the affiliate marketing stuff, or how to price your products, the tactics are all great and we love them. We love talking about them. We love sharing them with you. But at the end of the day, the stuff that's going to make the biggest impact on your business and your life is getting your head screwed on straight. Right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was like the tail end of this conversation. And this podcast is a long one, but damn, we covered a lot, and they're all like, I feel like they're in like different chapters.
Yeah.
That's how this podcast went in this episode. And man, each chapter is like its own little masterclass, I feel like, that you can gather a lot from. So
I like that. Chapter 1 would be like the story of videos. Chapter 2 is how to be a ninja at affiliate marketing. And chapter 3 is how to get your mind right for the game of business.
Pretty much. Chapter 1, I would say that's like the story of creating a badass, like recurring $30 million company.
Yeah, it's okay, I guess.
Yeah, it's pretty sexy. But yeah, man, that's how it was. And Joe is just such a cool guy. And so...
we got them notes too.
There's a lot of notes. There's a lot of notes, and you're going to love them notes. So the notes, you can get them one of two ways. You can pull out that phone and text to 38470 is the phone number. Just text the word comp, C-O-M-P. That's 38470 comp. These notes are absolutely free.
Absolutely free.
You ain't going to pay anything.
Ain't going to pay anything.
You can even use your old school dusty desktop.
Even use that old school dusty desktop.
And you can open up your Internet Explorer
that
browser.
Thing. Yep.
Netscape.
Open up your Netscape browser.
And
your CompuServe browser.
CompuServe, I was trying to go...
Prodigy.
Prodigy, there we go. Now we're going really deep.
Yeah, open up your Prodigy browser.
Open that up. If you're old school, like some people, that's okay. We do it occasionally. Go to hustleandflowchart.com/comp, C-O-M-P, hustleandflowchart.com/comp. Notes. Same exact offer.
Yeah.
So.
I hear if you're on America Online, is that what it's called? AOL, America Online?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're on America Online, the site loads perfect. So preferred browser is AOL.
AOL, you mean? That was the old thing. When could you get the sound? That's a modem sound. Yeah. That wasn't AOL sound.
And then somebody picks up the phone to make a call, and you're like, "Mom, I'm trying to get on the internet.
Mom, I'm trying to play Counter-Strike." I was going to say Wolfenstein, but that wasn't on there.
I thought you were going to say, "I'm trying to load Playboy.com.
You know me too well.
Yeah.
Mom!
Although that's probably not something you would admit to your mom, huh?
No.
Probably not.
Now, so yes, but not then.
Yeah, not then. Now, yeah.
All right. So, yeah, get the notes. And so they are free for 2 weeks for this episode. Basically, that's how it works. Every single episode, that's free for 2 weeks. That's just a rolling thing. Let's just be honest. And after that, it goes into our Epic Vault. Our Epic Vault is so cheap to unlock. It's only $15.
That's true.
It's super cheap. And you literally don't get just all the notes, but you literally get pretty much all the content that we ever produce anymore.
Yeah, it's the only gated content we have anymore.
So yeah, and as you probably have heard from previous episodes, or if you've not, we have a shit ton of content. So every single note that has been taken on this podcast, which is
We're approaching
almost every single one.
I don't know what episode this is, 250-ish. I don't know.
So yeah, you basically get an open vault to everything. So if there's like an episode from even last year that just piques your interest, hey, it's in there.
This is episode 249, by the way.
There you go.
So
you rounded up.
I rounded up by one. But yes, all of the notes from all of our podcasts. I mean, some of the early podcasts, like, from episode like 10 through episode like maybe 50 or something, we're still working on.
We're working on that batch still, but we are going back.
We are going back through all the backlogs so that anybody who signs up has notes for every episode we've ever recorded. And then we even just made a traffic course. We're like, let's make a new traffic course on like some of our favorite like super cheap tactics. And we made that traffic course, and we originally were like, all right, let's go sell this traffic course. And we're like, actually, let's just give it to Epic members. So like we literally made a traffic course and then just decided to give it to the people who are paying the $15 a month.
So we as you probably noticed, like we just don't like to actually sell a bunch of courses. We like to talk on the podcast.
Yeah.
But the outlet, and this is more of a time saving / like we know a lot of people will miss things. That's why we have this Epic membership. And that's why we're trying to make it super accessible, $15 a month. So that's all. Go check it out. But go to us on flowchart.com/comp. That's how you get in there first. So.
Yes, just start there. Let's go talk to Joey.
Yeah, let's do that.
Alrighty. Before we jump over to that episode, let's talk about LinkedIn real quick.
LinkedIn is awesome.
Yeah.
So this is a new tool in our arsenal. Newish. We've been on LinkedIn for a very long time, actually.
Yeah, but the engagement on LinkedIn is amazing right now.
And we've talked a lot about it on the podcast. We've had experts on the show chat about, literally pure businesses on LinkedIn. Organic's great. The paid stuff's great. There's a lot of groups. There's just a lot of interaction there with a ton of small business owners. A lot of folks that actually find us for this podcast found us on LinkedIn too, which is rad. And there's some crazy stat actually. 62 million different decision makers are actually on LinkedIn. And what we have here, Matt will tell you in a second, but there's actually some ways to get there is a way, I'll tell you right now, is to get free credit for LinkedIn ads.
Yeah, so LinkedIn ads are going to help you reach the right professionals at the right time, because this is literally where all the busy professionals hang out. Like all of the people that are just at really high levels in their businesses, they're on LinkedIn. LinkedIn ads will let you get in front of those people. But you know what? We're going to make it super easy for you to go try LinkedIn ads. You can try it for yourself. LinkedIn is offering a free $100 LinkedIn ad credit to launch your first campaign. Simply visit linkedin.com/flowchart. That's
LinkedIn, as Matt points at me. That's linkedin.com/flowchart to get that free $100 credit. Terms and conditions do apply, but definitely get over there. Go try it for yourself right now. Thank you.
Ready.
Yo, Joey, how you doing, man?
Well, good, man. How you doing?
Doing great. Yeah, I know it's late over there in the UK. Thanks for
a little bit.
Just a little bit. Are you used to working late or not really?
Not so much these days.
Good for you. You got a family and everything too, so you gotta.
Yeah.
So you and Matt, I think, go back a little further than you and I.
Yeah, I actually do not remember exactly how we got connected. I think you might have had a connection to Josh Bartlett, who I was partners with, 4 or 5 years ago, and I think that's how we got connected. And we know David Chamberlain very well. We go back with David probably almost 11 years now.
When I was first starting out, I was making I was basically trying to do stuff for all the top marketers at the time, and I was just trying to kind of offer value wherever I could. And I remember at the time, Josh Bartlett was releasing, I think it was Easy Video Suite at the time, which David actually worked on, I think, as well, or maybe the first one. It was one of them. I said to Josh, look, I've got loads of video tutorials and stuff on how to make videos, and if you want to use them, you can use them. And that's how I kind of got into Josh Bartlett and built a kind of a relationship with him. And then I think it crossed over at that point at some stage.
Yeah. At that time, I actually ran his membership site for him. It was called the Elite Marketing Foundation. And it was whenever you bought Easy Video Suite, you got a free 30-day trial to this members area thing. And I ran the members area side. So that's probably how I initially got introduced to you, was somehow you were connected with Josh, and then you made some videos around how to make better videos. And I put them in the members area, and then I think somehow we ended up chatting, and then you released videos, and I was an affiliate of videos. And
well, I was actually the one doing all the VSLs for that product, so we were all wrapped in there in some form. You guys were in the back end. I was over there working with Josh on the front end. That's interesting. We were all right. We all had a hand in it. So that makes sense.
All connected.
Yeah.
So we can safely assume that the three of us are the reason for Josh's success.
Take that, Josh.
Josh would agree, right, Josh? I'm just kidding.
That's funny.
Well, cool. Let's dive a little bit back into your backstory. How did you actually get into the digital marketing world? What were you doing before you were doing videos? I know you were providing value and creating content. How did you what were you doing before this, and how did you kind of get into this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, basically, I used to work as like a part-time kind of videographer back in the day. I used to shoot like weddings and birthday parties and, pretty much all the basic kind of stuff. And what happened was I lost my job in about 2012. I was basically working in an accounts company. They told me they didn't want me anymore because I wasn't motivated, to which I agreed like heavily. And then I was actually, the crazy thing was like I was engaged at the time.
Yeah.
So I think I got laid off in like October and I was getting married in May. So I had like 6 months ish to kind of like make $30,000-$40,000 because I'm of like, I'm Indian and like in our culture. Our weddings are like, huge, like they're massive. Like you can buy a house
people.
they're like huge and, like, which is all good, whatever. So I was just kind of like, I told my fiance like, look, like I know we got to like kind of save all this money, but I just can't work for anybody else. Like I'm going to go and figure out how to do this thing. And I landed on the Warrior Forum. Which I'm sure a few people probably know what it is. And it's essentially just a forum full of digital entrepreneurs, and they're all trying to figure out how to make money online. And I came across Alex Jeffries. You remember Alex?
Oh, yeah.
From back in the day. Alex was basically the guy at that time in the IM world. He was, probably one of the leading coaches. And in fact, David was in his coaching. Josh Bartlett was in his coaching. Dean Holland was in his coaching.
That's literally how we know all those people. We went through Alex Jeffries' coaching at the same time as Josh, David, and Dean.
Right.
We were in the same class, if you want to call it. We were in the same
class of people with those people, yeah.
Awesome. Well, there you go. So everybody was basically under Alex's kind of wing at some stage. And the only thing was I wanted to work with Alex kind of like on a one-to-one basis. And at the time, he was like, yeah, if you want to work with me one-on-one, it's going to cost like $20,000 or something. And I was like, yeah, I've got like $20 in my pocket. So that's not going to work. So I basically messaged him on Facebook and just said, listen, like, I've got like these whole kind of set of skills in terms of video. I can shoot some really cool content. And I would love it if you could give me an opportunity just to show you what I can do. If you like it, maybe offer me some kind of training in return, some consultation or whatever. He basically said he wanted me to prove myself to him and kind of make a video to show what I could do. He didn't want to just like kind of offer the coaching or whatever, because it was obviously it's a big deal. And I didn't even have a camera at the time because I'd sold everything. So I had to basically borrow a camera, and then I had like 24 hours to go and shoot this video, which I shot eventually and sent it to him. And he basically posted it into his inner circle group on Facebook, and all the students were basically like, you got to take this guy on board. And, he's really kind of ambitious and whatever. And then one thing led to another, and Alex basically brought me out, and I went and shot this video for him, which was the Marketing with Alex video.
Oh yeah, that was yours, huh?
Yeah, that was my video. Josh actually watched that video and kind of like replicated the style and stuff. And a lot of marketers did kind of take the formula of that video and tried to recreate it, because it was quite a powerful piece. Like Alex has a really interesting story, and I just thought like it's such a good story to tell as a marketing video. It's really cool because Alex has got this really emotional story, and it's like people crying. And he was telling me, I met Alex just 2 weeks ago actually. The first time I've met him in 7 years. It's been a long time.
Yeah. And he's out in San Diego now, out here.
Yeah. And he actually came down because we're shooting a documentary about me this time. So,
Nice.
I really wanted Alex to be a part of it because he's really kind of synergistic to kind of like what my story, and he's a big part of it. And he was telling me, look, we still use that video now. 2 weeks ago, he was speaking on stage, and his children basically go on stage, and when they introduce their dad, they play this video on a screen, and that made me feel really warm inside, because I was like, that's so cool, man. Like we made this piece of content, and he's still using it. And he was basically saying, look, like he didn't know it at the time, but they use that video now and realize that video really helped Alex propel into like the guru kind of figure, because he didn't want to be a guru.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like Alex was kind of like the unrelenting hero type.
Well, one of his books, I think the subtitle was "Putting the Horse's Head in the Guru's Bed" or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So he was
the mobster.
He was very anti-guru, and that video kind of changed that, I think, for the better. And now Alex is flying. He's got an amazing coaching business, and it was all my fault, basically. No, I'm joking.
You created a monster.
It was just no. It was a good video, and then because of that, people really wanted to know how to make those kinds of videos. And at the time, I was completely broke. I didn't even know how to make a course or anything. But Alex kindly kind of gave me the guidance I needed to create my first course. So it was in March of 2013. It was literally 2 months before my wedding. I released my first course, and I sold, I think it was about 2,500 copies of the course. And it was like a crazy moment, really. It was just exciting and emotional and all these things. And I managed to pay for the wedding, pay for our honeymoon, and the rest is basically history.
That's cool.
I'm curious, really quick, like how did you make that many sales at that period of time? Were you leveraging affiliates, Alex helping you out? How did that look like?
It was just all affiliate recruitment. Like basically, like in the launch kind of community, one of the things that you do when you put a product out is you create an affiliate video, or a JV video, we call it. Mm-hmm. And I just thought, look, like I could make a JV video that's different to everybody else. I could do something really different. And that was the only thing I had in my mind. I just wanted to create something where if any JV saw it, they were just like, whoa, like this is cool. This is like completely different. So that's what I did. And it got the attention of the top video guys at the time. Todd Gross was, even then, was pretty much one of the big video affiliates. I think Mark Dulis was one of the big video guys at the time.
Todd Gross is the one that was like the weatherman or something, right? Am I thinking of the same guy?
I think it's a different guy.
Okay,
maybe not.
Todd Gross is he was like a weatherman.
Okay,
yeah. So same.
I
guy.
am thinking of the same guy. Okay.
Yeah, weird actually, because Todd was actually portrayed in a movie as somebody played Todd Gross in a movie once, which is quite weird.
Yeah. It wasn't the movie Anchorman, was it?
Yeah.
No.
I'm like, I don't know if that's for the best. It's pretty awesome.
But so even Josh Bartlett ended up promoting it, and a few big guys picked it up and pushed it, and it done quite well.
What was that first course? Do you remember the name of it? Of course, I'm sure you do.
Oh God, it wasn't a good name. It was get ready. It was called the Video Marketing Guide.
Oh, nice. That's way better than the name of the first launch I ever did.
Oh, is it affiliate or no?
No, the first launch I ever did, I made a product called the Autopilot Cash Formula.
That's right.
You don't get much more hypey, spammy than that.
Autopilot.
Yeah. We've all done it. We've all got weird ones. Like my second one was the video induction system.
That's getting better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like the whole premise of that one was like creating hypnosis video scripts, hypnotic video scripts. That's what that one was about.
That's cool.
Well, you definitely did something right, man. Like with starting with Alex's video way back when, and obviously, Josh, you said he kind of modeled a similar approach, and just throughout all this, like I think you were doing some really interesting storytelling and visuals in a new way that the industry wasn't familiar with. Do you think that was like a big part of this?
I mean, I don't know how much of an influence it had, but I would like to think it had some, because I know a lot of guys. I know a lot of guys have spoken to me about it and said, it was because of that video that I decided to do this kind of video and that kind of video. So I think it had some impact. How much of an impact, I'm not sure.
Now, do you know if that video is still floating around somewhere? Like if I wanted to post it up in the show notes or something, is there a place where we could share it?
Yeah, it's still on YouTube. If you just type in "marketing with Alex," it's still there.
Marketing with Alex. Okay, yeah, we'll look that up and we'll share it in the show notes just so anybody listening could kind of see what you're referring to when you say this style of video.
Good call.
Yeah, definitely.
So that kicked you off, and what from there? So what have you been doing? Is just a bunch of product launches, and you did a lot of affiliate stuff. It sounds like in the meantime as well.
Yeah, so I went and released. My second course was Video Induction System, so I did that a year after the first one. A year was quite a long time to wait, but to be honest with you, like after I did that first release, like I'm going to be completely transparent. Like I thought I was like a millionaire, basically. And I think every entrepreneur has to go through this moment where they're gonna basically just burn all their cash, because at one stage I couldn't even afford like getting my lunch at work and that kind of thing. So I was super broke. I've been bankrupt before. Like when I was 19 years old, I was bankrupt. So like I couldn't even like get a job for a couple of years. Like I made a lot of bad decisions. Like I was trying to start a business and it failed. Short story. But like I got a whole load of money after that first launch and then basically burnt through the cash really quick. And then I was like super depressed, mentally exhausted, because I was like, well, I understood quickly that I can't just keep releasing courses. And I realized that after the first one.
That's good.
Which, like, in hindsight, I think that was a good thing, because I think I still see vendors who were releasing courses back then, and they're still doing it now. Which, if that's your business, who am I to say anything different? But I think it's just not a healthy business, because I think it can cause a lot of burnout, a lot of mental exhaustion, as it did for me. And it got to a point where I was like, right, well, I need to make some more money. So I did a second one. And then I didn't want to wait for the third one because I didn't want to be in that situation again. So the second one I did actually sold like 4,000 copies. It was quite big. So then I thought, all right, well, I may as well do it again and just double up. So I did a third one. That was called iPocket Video. So that was about creating videos with your mobile device.
I think I remember that
one.
I
actually think I remember seeing some of the marketing around that one.
Yeah, I think that was probably the best one I did. It was like probably the best named anyway.
Yeah, it is a good name.
And after that, I kind of fell into this weird kind of between a rock and a hard place situation where it was like, I don't want to release any more courses because like I don't feel like this is what I want to do forever. And I'm not sure what to do next. So I was like, I've learned a lot of skills here. And one of the things I really enjoyed was kind of like personal development. So I thought, you know what, I'll create a personal development brand. So for like 7 months, 8 months, I started this brand called Speaking Change, which nobody's heard of because I didn't ever do anything with it. But I spent a long time on it. And it's crazy. I actually was about to start a podcast called Speaking Change. And I remember I got an intro made and everything. And, I was in Podcasters Paradise, John Lee Dumas's program. And I was doing the whole thing. And then, I just ended up kind of not doing it because I just didn't feel like it was the right thing to do. And I felt very stuck. And then one day, like it kind of got to a stage where so much time had passed. And I was like, I need to kind of teach another course. Like I need to do another course because I'm going to run out of money here. So I started thinking, well, I need to teach something new. So why don't I teach video animation? And I didn't know video animation. So like I started to learn After Effects and I thought I'll learn it and then I'll go and make a course about it kind of thing, So started learning it and I realized this is going to take me a long time to learn.
That's a beast to learn. I tried to do it and it's tough.
And I was just kind of like, this isn't gonna be a quick thing. So I better go and try and figure out what else I can sell. And I really like the idea of getting into software. Like I didn't know anything about software. I can't code anything. The most technical stuff I know is how to make a video. Like anything outside of that, I can't do it. So, I started partnering up with a couple of people in the industry and I'd done a few software launches and they all bombed, which was a new experience for me because none of my launches had bombed before. So it was a new thing. I had one that only done like $10,000, which probably sounds like a lot for some people, but for a launch, it kind of sucks, especially when you have like $20,000 you got to pay in prizes. So
I was going to say, and then probably all the overhead that went into developing whatever the software was.
I mean, if you're not a developer, you had to invest in developers. So, I mean, yeah, it's not a lot of money all said and done.
Yeah, and then I done my second software, and that also bombed. And it was around about that time where I was almost getting ready to kind of teach this software, this animation course thing. And before I really committed to it, I decided to kind of look online to see, is there any software that can kind of create an animation like automatically? And at the time, there literally wasn't anything close to what I was thinking in my head. Like I wanted to be able to just basically upload my logo to like an app, and then the app just like animates the logo basically. That was the whole concept that I had in my head. And it was like, right, well, there's nothing there that does that. What if we could kind of make this into the software? Like, how do we do that? And I spoke to a lot of different people in our industry, actually. One marketer actually helped me build a prototype, which turned out to be horrendous. It wasn't what I wanted. And he, it didn't end up working out with him. And I took the idea to a couple of people, and then I came across David and Jamie, who at the time they had a business called Mobelia. And Mobelia was like a software mobile website builder, basically.
Okay.
And, those guys were doing really well. They weren't doing the affiliate thing so much. They were doing it a little bit, but not a lot. And I kind of liked that about them. I liked the fact that they were building software, but they weren't relying just on affiliate sales. So I was like, well, maybe these guys are worth speaking to. They've already got a software company. They've had it for a couple of years, and they're in the UK. So they're local to me, and I can probably go and meet them and stuff. So I ended up kind of reaching out to those guys, and I took the idea to them. And yeah, they basically loved the idea and just said, let's see if we can build like an MVP. So they had one developer that worked with them, one designer, and they basically used the designer and the dev at the time to put together a very basic prototype. That would have been what you would have seen initially. And yeah, it was just a really simple product, but it literally did what I had envisioned it to do. You upload a logo, you choose from a template of, at the time, our library was only 20 templates. You could choose a template and it would animate it. And I was just blown away by it because there literally wasn't absolutely any other tool at the time online that was doing this. So I just thought, this is it. Like we've got a really cool thing here. So I went because I felt so passionate about it, kind of reinvigorated my joy for launching a product. And my whole mindset for videos was like, I don't want to make this a product launch. Like I want to make this the launch of our business, basically. Like that was always the mindset with David and Jamie. And I remember us all talking about it together, just like, we need to like find a way to consistently make sales where we're not relying on affiliates and not relying on launches and that kind of thing. We need to build a real thing here that's going to last. So we had a lot of ideas about how we were going to do that. And it all came down to the pricing model and how we basically funnel people through the product. So maybe I should explain kind of like how the different levels of the product work. So you've essentially, when we launched the product, like we had 20 templates, right? And we thought, right, if people buy videos for 20 templates, like what's the perfect upsell? Well, if it was me, like I would just want more templates because like if you look at products like, at the time, if you look at products like Optimized Press, that was the page builder back then.
Yeah.
Right.
Optimized Press basically had like a template house thing, I think it was called. And all they would do is just create new templates all the time. And it was really engaging for their audience at the time.
Wasn't that like a recurring upgrade or something too?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we pretty much thought, well, we can just do a similar thing to that. Like we just keep making templates. And we wanted it to be a low hanging fruit thing. It was $37 a month. So it's still $37 a month. It's not super expensive. And the front end of the product basically gave you access to the 20 templates that we already had. So the crazy thing is, I can say this now because it doesn't matter anymore, but we didn't have any upsell templates at the time. We basically had 20 templates on the front end, and then it was coming up to the launch and we were like, well, we're just going to have to create them whilst we launch. Like when we're just going to have to keep adding them as we're selling it.
It's a perfect way to put your back against the wall and get shit done, you know?
Yeah, man. Like honestly, our mentality has always been like sell first, just sell the thing.
Yep.
Because every other SaaS you see, well, not every other SaaS, but all the SaaS companies in Silicon Valley, they all do the same thing. They build a product to perfection. They spend hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to build the product, and then they do a free trial. And it's like, well, when are you going to ever make any money? So
that's why the VC money.
Exactly. Like, and it's like, well, let's take $10 million in funding and then we can start actually maybe making some revenue. And we're like, well, no, like we don't want to do that. Like we want to make money now because we don't have anything else going here. Like this is our bread and butter and this is how we survive.
Yeah.
So we need to make some money now. So our thought was, well, let's just not do a free trial. Let's go sell the product for $67. It does what we say it's going to do. So it's not like we're lying. And then in the upsell, we basically say, look, we're going to give you 20 templates a month. We don't say you're going to get 20 templates right now, but you're going to get 20 templates a month.
Starting in 30 days.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that was our mentality. It was like, we've got 30 days to basically get the templates in. So that's how we approached it. And we done a 4-day launch. You know, we didn't want to open up for like a week or anything. We wanted to keep it nice and short. Again, there was strategy behind that as well. Like, you know, like what we find is like a lot of the time, the affiliates who basically will promote a product launch, right? Mm-hmm. They go really hard on the first day. And then on the second, third, and the fourth day, and the fifth day, and the sixth day, everybody's basically tapering off onto other products. And so are your customers. Like all the customers are basically looking at 100 products a day.
Yeah.
So we thought, you know what, we'll do a really short launch, 4 days. On the first day, everyone's going to go hard. On the second day, we'll raise the price. So it gives everybody a reason to buy it again. On the third day, we're going to accept that we're not going to make a lot of money. And then on the fourth day, we're going to close it. So everybody has to buy it. So that way we only have one dud day and all the other 3 days are really good. Yeah. So if you look at the big launches nowadays, like a lot of people do that now because they've kind of seen that pattern works really well. Yeah. And yeah, we did like $480,000 in the 4 days. And then in recurring, we had forecasted $1.2 million over the year in recurring sales. So basically like we just built like a serious like 6-figure a month business over 4 days, I guess, like of selling.
Yeah.
So all we had to do now is just maintain the thing and basically find a way to keep it going.
Yeah. So I'm curious, how long did it take you from the very, very first, like, you know, just kind of messing around with the idea in the office to actually having something that you felt was ready for the consumer?
Yeah. So me and Jamie had our first Skype call in March 2015. And we released the product in September 2015.
Wow.
March, April,
so
July,
like 7 months.
Yeah,
6 months. 7 months.
Damn.
So it wasn't a long time. It was, you know, it was to launch a business from scratch, like with absolutely nothing there. I think it's okay. Like 6 months is not bad.
That's pretty good.
That seems really fast to me.
So I'm curious about the 2 failures you had prior to videos doing well. So what do you know, like what the factors were for those things flopping? Because those were 2 software launches too.
Yeah, I think the marketing just wasn't there. The pricing was not well thought out. I was really desperate to create a recurring income, basically. And we really tried pushing the recurring pricing on the front end of the launch. So I was trying to go $27 a month or $37 a month, but it's right at the front end of the product launch. So right at the top of the funnel, basically.
Yeah.
And, you know, that I think sometimes, for me personally, it's not worked. Like it's not the best way to siphon leads into your business, because what happens is like, you're basically bringing somebody right to the top of your funnel and you're saying, right, pay me every month. If they say no, that's it. Like they're gone. So you've not got a chance now to go and get them to pay you every month. Whereas what we did with videos is we had 2 price points on the front end. We had $47 and $67 one time. And what we did was, there's a great book called, it's called Something Irrational or something. It's about David's favorite book. It's about pricing and irrationality, basically.
Okay.
But basically all it is that the $47 price point is created as a decoy to the other price. So what happens is like we stack all the really cool features into the $67 price point. So we say, look, you can make unlimited videos with the $67 price point. You get resale rights with the $67 price point. You don't get any of that stuff on the 47. So really, nobody's going to buy the $47 price point.
Sure.
All that happens is you're just increasing your conversion rate by having the other price.
So anchors this price in their mind. That's still
Exactly.
not that. It's only a $20 difference. You're like, well, shit, that's no brainer.
Yeah. Predictably Irrational is the name of the book.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of that one. Yeah.
It's a fantastic read if you want to look at the psychology of giving people the obvious choice, but almost making it look like it's not so obvious at the same time. It's kind of like it's like you're tricking them into buying it, but it's not a trick, basically.
Yeah. Well, before we hit record, you actually mentioned Convertry, and I noticed like Convertry has two pricing plans. One's like $63 a month, and one's like $69 a month, and like everything you would want is in the $69 a month plan.
Interesting.
And it's only like a $6 difference.
Yeah, and like honestly, if you look at a lot of the software launches right now, like you will see the $67 price is very prevalent, and I would like to think it's because we've hit that price point literally for the last 5 years now, and it's such a perfect price point for the upsell. So you spend $67, and then it's a $37 upsell into a template club.
Yeah, so that's what I like. Is like it's a lower price. Obviously it's recurring, so it will stack up to be more, but the 37 should be like it's a no-brainer. I want it all.
Yeah.
And like the whole concept was like $67, like, and again, I think there's a misconception that you need to charge $7 or $10 to get all the leads, but I really don't think that's the case. Like we charge $67 on the front end, and we done, I think on the first launch we done like 7,000 front end units. So I really don't think that the front end price has to be as low as people feel it has to be.
Right.
It's all about just kind of stacking the value. And then what we do is we get those 7,000 people in, and now we've got an opportunity because they're on our list to just keep pushing them into the template club. Yeah. So that's all we did. Like as soon as we finished the launch, everyone got pushed onto a webinar, and we say, right, now we've got an annual offer for the template club. You can get 3 months free if you buy it like upfront right now. And we done, I think we must have done like 150, 200K on that webinar too. So, that's the system that we've done from the initial launch. And we've literally done that every single time we've put videos out with the affiliates, and everybody gets paid very well. Our affiliates have been paid over $16-17 million now over the last 5 years.
Damn.
So we've done a good justice, I think, for our affiliates, definitely.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, I think I said it before we hit record, was I promoted video. When did version 1.0 launch? Just so I have my timeline straight.
29th of September 2015.
2015. So that was 5 years ago. I mean, almost 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago. So 4.5 years ago, I promoted videos, and to this day, I still get commission notifications.
That's gnarly, man.
So that's pretty awesome.
And I know like what you wrote here, at least we have in our notes, it's up to what, 30 million now in sales videos?
Yeah, just creeping up to 30 million now.
I mean, that's amazing, man. And you could hear that. Thanks for breaking everything down too, and all the. And actually, I want to go to the fact that so you did a lot with affiliates, but also you do a lot with ads to drive new customers, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, as soon as we finished that first launch, like literally the conversation was, right, how do we now grow the business without having to get the affiliates on board?
Right.
Because like, it's not that we don't use affiliates. Like we still use affiliates. Like we have a lot of affiliates that promote evergreen all the time. But it's just that if we wanted to scale to a point where we've got VCs and, the big guys, the banks and everybody else looking at us saying, maybe we want a slice of this thing. We're going to need to create a system that's completely hands off and not based on the affiliates. Like we need to create something that can be scaled up, and process driven. So that's where the thought was like, right, well, we need to figure out Facebook ads, we need to figure out YouTube and all the rest of it and dial those things in. And it took us a long time. Like we went through different agencies, we went through a multitude of marketers, and, it was a hard nut to crack, like a very hard nut to crack. And it was in 2017 where we had one affiliate who started running Facebook ads, and he did $1 million of sales in 30 days. on as an affiliate.
In 30 days? Hold up.
Yeah.
Need to re-engineer that.
I mean, that takes some balls to throw that kind of ad budget at it too.
That's true.
Absolutely. Like honestly, he absolutely nailed the ads. And I spoke to him and said, I'm not going to say who it is, but most people that know me will know who it is. But I spoke to him and just said, like, do you want to kind of like work out a deal? You want to maybe, I don't know, like come on board or work in the company or whatever. And it didn't ever transpire into anything. And he actually just ended up kind of disappearing and like almost like a Dracula. Like it was quite odd, really. Like he came in and made a significant impact and just disappeared.
Bailed. Wow. Weird. Interesting. All right.
So that happened. And then we thought, well, if he was able to do that, like then we've obviously got a funnel here that works. We've proven that ads can work. We just need someone that can replicate what this guy's done. And it took a while. Like it took quite a lot of time. But eventually what I did was I reached out to a couple of people on ClickBank. Because on ClickBank, it's a different world. Like we sell on JVZoo. We used to sell on JVZoo. And ClickBank wasn't something that we ever really got involved with. And we ended up deciding to put the product on ClickBank and seeing what kind of affiliates we got. And there was a group of affiliates who were doing very, very well, really good with ads and just so knowledgeable with how they were approaching everything. And I'd done the same thing with these guys and just said, listen, like we want someone that's going to work full time in our business. And we'll cut you an amazing deal kind of thing. And we'll give you all the resources you need. We'll give you a team. We'll give you designers, video creators, whatever you want.
Wow.
But we just want you working in our business pretty much 7 days a week. And that's what we have now. So that's pretty much how we secured the guys to run our ads. We had to cut them an amazing deal, and it's definitely worth it because right now, like me, David, and Jamie don't have to worry about running ads. We're just focused on, right, how do we move the business forward? How do we, look at scaling this thing from where we are now, new products and new services and that kind of stuff, and not putting our heads into things that we're not experts at, because we're not Facebook ad people. Like that's not what we do. We're good at creatives, like all the ads and everything. We get behind all the video creation and the adverts and all of that because that's what we like doing. But in terms of actually running the traffic, that's all down to the two guys that are kind of running the ads for us right now.
That's awesome.
Super smart.
I'm curious with videos and the template club kind of concept. How are you guys actually coming up with 20 new ideas for video templates every single month? It seems like you'd kind of run out of ideas after a while.
Yeah, we have our head animation guy lives out in Serbia, and he has like 6 or 7 animators. Wow. So we have about a team of 8 or 9 animators in the business who all work all over the world, but the main guy works in Serbia, and then he manages all the other animators, and they have a huddle every couple of weeks, and they just go from there. Like they post inspiration in the Slack group, and they just talk to each other and say, oh, I want to try this, I want to try that, and we just let them do it. Like, to be honest, we just get out of the way. We basically, Relya's the name of the head animator, and we say to Relya, look, like this is your thing, so you just run with it and do what you want to do. Like as long as you're doing 20 a month, just kind of create what you want to create. And he's been doing it perfectly for the last couple of years, and that doesn't look like it's going to change really.
Love it. I love it.
I like this whole thing. Like what you just said is like you trust in your, for one, you built a team around the things that that you're just not great at, but you stick to your lane as best as possible. And then you trust, you're like, no, just let them have at it. Like they know their little bubble that they should play in and their expectations, which is 20 a month. Just let them go. Like, do you think that was a huge part of scaling up this thing as quick as you did?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like I think when I first started out, I'm a control freak. Like I try to control every facet of the business that I can. But I think as I'm just kind of like getting more experience in business, like you just have to get out of the way because sometimes even if you feel you could do a better job, like I used to shoot all of the video content in our business. Like that's my thing. But, I brought on a video guy and I'm just putting my faith in the video guy to basically just go and do his thing, like just go and do your job. Like, and he really enjoys it because I don't step on his toes. I collaborate with him and I jump in with him now and again because I love making videos. So it's like, I don't want to stop doing it, but I do it when I want to do it and I enjoy it. And it's okay. Like I don't fret too much over the small details. And I think a big thing that me and Jamie talk about in our own podcast on the first episode is kind of like, you can't look at things in such a granular way when you're starting a business. And I think even when you're scaling it, you've got to be very kind of like hands off if you want to grow, because it will just slow you down. It will completely drown your resource and your time and your energy. And all of a sudden, when your business gets really big, not really big, even just like a normal, like kind of like a medium-sized business, I guess. Like once it gets to that stage, you're basically sat in meetings all the time.
Yeah.
And it's boring. Like I don't want to be in meetings all the time. It's dull.
And even if meetings were your thing, like you can't go run your ads, or you can't send your emails, or you can't write do everything else in the business that drives you forward. So it's
exactly,
like you got to pick your lane.
That's it, man. So even our designer, like Vlad, he's like an absolute incredible designer. And like at the start, I spent a lot of time with Vlad, kind of getting him to understand the landing page thing and this, because the direct response thing wasn't where he came from. It was more like from a software UX thing. But Vlad really picked up the ability to create these incredible sales pages. And over the years, the amount of marketers that have messaged me just saying, Joey, like, who's your sales guy? Like, who are you using? And it's like, well, we're not using anybody. Like, it's just a guy we have in our team who we've trained over the years, and he's just become exceptional. And we stay out of his way. And he's never let us down. Like, he always comes back and produces incredible stuff. And he just gets better over time.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, I want to sort of, this is going to seem like a big shift, but I want to talk a little bit about affiliate marketing a bit as well, because I know anybody who listens to our show regularly knows by now that our main source of income for Joe and I actually comes from affiliate marketing. Most of our money is because we promote affiliate products, and I know affiliate marketing has actually become sort of a big piece of your business too. So let's just start with, how are you? What's your philosophy on internet affiliate marketing with your current business model?
Yeah, I think what we do is we're very, very selective about what we promote. I know there's like a stigma in internet marketing where it's like, if you promote for me, I'll promote for you. And, like this kind of thing happens a lot. And I used to be in that whole mindset too, and I think one thing that really shifted for me in my head was having an abundant mindset. And there's always going to be people that want to make money. So that's what I always think is like, we don't have to promote everybody to get them to promote us. The reason that people will promote us is if we just make really good products. Exactly. And if we do that, people are going to promote because they want to make lots of money.
Right.
And it's the same for us. Like, we want to make lots of money on amazing products. So what we do is we sit around, and we wait until something amazing crops up. And, some really, really good products have cropped up over the last couple of years. And when they do, we just go all in on those promotions, and we'll promote them not once or twice, but occasionally multiple times through the year, like every year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's very similar to how we approach it. Is just, we have a handful of products and we want to go deep on those products. We don't want to go wide and just, do, not put our full effort into products that we're going to promote short term. And one of our sort of rules in our business is we pretty much never promote launches anymore. Like, we don't want that 4-day launch window. If we're going to put in a crap ton of work to promote your product, if we're going to create content around it and landing pages around it and email sequences around it to really push your product, I don't want all of that effort to be dead 5 days from now,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
completely get that.
And I like that you brought up the whole reciprocation thing, because that was, I think, like just so incestuous back then. And I think it turned a lot of people off from even just bringing affiliates in, as like, well, shit, that means I got to like carve out time to promote something that of theirs that I'm not really a big fan of.
Well, it's such a disservice to your audience. We spend all of this time focused on building up a customer list, building up an audience, building a brand, getting, followers and people who enjoy listening to us. And it just really sucks to go and say, hey, everybody, you really, really need this product that I'm promoting today. And trying to push people to get this product, even if you don't really believe in it, just because, they promoted you, it's doing a huge disservice to your audience, and I think over time your audience is going to realize, they're just promoting these products because it's a reciprocation from the people that promoted them. And if your audience starts to catch on to the fact that you're just kind of peddling junk to them, you're going to lose that audience.
Absolutely. Like there was a time when it's pretty bad, really. But like when we were selling, there was a stage where we were selling just on JVZoo, and obviously, when the leads are kind of flying into JVZoo, there's JVZoo do like the product of the day promotion, and I've got nothing against it. Like, it's not my business, so they can do what they want. You know what I mean? But like, at the end of the day, what ends up happening is we're funneling all these brand new customers into the JVZoo environment, right? So we sat on the top seller list for about 7 months consecutively every single day.
Dang.
So we were literally sending hundreds of customers a day to the JVZoo platform. And the discussion that we were having was, look, like, we're basically putting these guys in an environment where they're going to get absolutely annihilated by all the other affiliates in this pool, basically. Like, and that's not even our fault. It's just like, that's just where our product's set up, basically. And that's why we actually ended up moving away and putting our product on Stripe completely away from any affiliate platform, because we wanted to have full control over what happens to the leads.
Sure.
And, there were times where we went to events and things like that, and we'd have customers come up to us and say, hey guys, bought videos. Hey, by the way, you send a lot of emails. I get these really weird emails and I'm not sure why. And it's like, well, it's not really our fault. Like, it's just the kind of environment you're in, basically.
Yeah.
And it's just like a really bad answer. It's like, I don't want to have to answer that question to our customers when we see them face to face.
Well, it seems
really
like
uncomfortable.
it was a way to launch your business. A lot of people are doing the same thing, but yeah, there's a time and place to, for the launch. And then after you do a certain threshold, you're like, time to migrate to my own thing. It's like to a system you have full control over.
Yeah. If we were all doing what we did when we first started, we'd all be doing WSOs with Warrior Plus and selling, $27 ebooks that I made last night,
That takes me back.
So, eventually you got to evolve, but that, you got to start with what you know.
Sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So for the affiliate side, so you're super selective. How do you typically promote offers when you are selective? Is it emails, ads? Do you have kind of like a system there?
Yeah, it's like a bit of everything, like what we normally do is we'll take the product away, and if we can, we'll get the vendor to basically either fly to our office or we'll go to their office and we'll actually do like an on-camera video. So Jamie will basically sit with the vendor and kind of demo the product and stuff in like a really cool kind of, like, just a really nice piece of video content. So if somebody was watching it, it's like, this isn't just a typical promo. It's like an actual thing.
I like that.
And we basically, like Andy Fletcher and Neil at Convertory, they're a really great example. Every time we promote those guys, because they're in the UK, we get them to come up to our office in Manchester. So when they come over, we'll sit down for a day, we'll film them, and we'll interview them on camera and say, okay, well, tell us about Convertory, what's new, why should people buy it? And we do like this whole thing it's like a really valuable piece of content where our audience actually gets to see the vendors on camera, so they can build some rapport and trust and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then we basically mail that out to all of our customers. We'll run ads and all the rest of it and get everybody warmed up to the vendors and to the idea of this product. And then we'll set up a short kind of promotional window in which we're going to basically run the campaign. So when I say short promo, I don't mean like 2 days. I mean more like 2 weeks, 3 weeks kind of thing. And then we'll basically run a really nice campaign to our list and set some bonuses up and that kind of stuff, and typically it's just emails. Like, emails is pretty much the primary way we do it, and then we'll throw in some training webinars, Facebook ads, basically. So nothing super complex, to be honest. Like, it's just more it's just the type of content we send. We just put our time into the content and make sure it's good. It's not like a super pitch fest. We try to make it in a way where what they're going to get is really valuable for our customers specifically. So Convertory is like a page and funnel builder. So, we're a video software. So on the surface, there isn't really any kind of crossover really. But the way that we basically do it is, we know our customers like making videos and they like selling video content. So what Andy does is he basically creates us like a video market funnel, a video marketplace funnel. So our customers can basically take this template and they can use it as a way to advertise all their videos on their funnels and on their pages. So Andy does a really good job of basically giving us a reason to promote it, first of all, because it gives our customers a really nice, easy way to create websites, because that's a big problem every business owner probably has. So as long as the product has a good synergy with our audience and we can find an angle to promote it, then we're always going to basically put all of our effort into that. It's all about just finding the angle. Like, it's not always going to be obvious, and it doesn't always have to be a video product. It's just about how do we kind of fit this with our audience and how can they make use of the tool.
I think that's super smart because, people approach us all the time for, hey, how do I do affiliate marketing in my business? I do this. And typically people don't see it as like, well, you can actually bolt on other services or tools or products out there. But I like how you're taking it a step further and, you're finding that angle that looks really nice. You're working with the product owner where they're, allowing you to kind of have that synergistic feel there. And then the video being in person, I'm sure you have a nice relationship with your customer list. So they know, hey, this is one of the founders of videos. Like, oh shit, he's with this guy. That's a really cool tool. He's saying it's really good and it works really well with video. I need that. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you're bringing a really good relationship into the thing as well.
Yeah. Like you said, it's a simple concept, but it's still going above and beyond what 98% of affiliates are willing to even do.
Yeah, like I remember when I did it for the first time, it was Josh Rata, and he was selling a product called Video Motion Pro, which was like a video editor basically. And this was like the biggest promo I ever done. Like at the time, I did like $60,000 on that promo. For at that time, I was like, whoa, like that's a lot of money for me. And what I did was it was really, really simple. Like I got a DSLR camera at the time. It was a Canon 550D. It's like $600. And I told my wife that we're going to travel into London and we're just going to film me going to London. And then I'm going to meet Josh and he's going to show me the software. That's it. That's literally all it was. So all the video was just some cool music, me walking around a train station for like a minute. And people are probably watching it saying, what am I watching? This guy's just walking around to some cool music. Okay, the music's cool, so I'm just going to keep watching it for a little bit. And then I get into London and I say, right, guys, I'm going to meet up with Josh. Josh Rye is a really cool marketer and he's got an amazing tool for video. I want to show you what it does. Then I hand it over to Josh and I interview him on camera for like 2-3 minutes. And that was literally it. That was the video. And I sent it out, and the video was so fresh and different that other affiliates were basically stealing the video for their promos.
Yeah.
And it was like, what are you doing? Like, so, but that's what I realized. Like people aren't doing the extra thing to convince people and persuade people. Like if you just go the extra mile, you're always going to win against the other affiliate. Like you're always going to end up being on top. And it's not about like, again, I see it all the time, the bonus thing. Like affiliates think that they need to add like hundreds of bonuses into their promotion. Like a lot of the time we don't even do that. Like we have like one bonus maybe, like, and that's occasionally we'll do that. Like what we try and do is make it in a way where it's like, we know the product better than everybody else. So you need to listen to what we say because we know the vendor. So the vendor's given us backstage access to this thing. We know them really well. We trust them. You trust us. And that's kind of how we do it. Like rather than, hey, I've got like $5,000 worth of bonuses here, so buy from me.
No, I mean, I think we have almost an identical philosophy on affiliate marketing, and we approach it the same way as well. I'm curious how, if you do at all, how do you bake scarcity into your promotions? Because I feel like, and this actually could be answered with both videos or affiliate products, because I feel like one of the most difficult things about promoting things from like an evergreen perspective is if you don't have scarcity, usually the sales don't happen or they're real slow. That's usually one of the things that we run into when we're trying to promote affiliate products on an evergreen basis, or even when we're trying to sell our own courses and we never plan on really shutting them down, is if we don't have a countdown or some sort of like takeaway that you're going to lose if you don't get it by this point, then sales just kind of stay flat. So I'm curious if you bake in any scarcity to videos or to affiliate products, and if so, how are you doing that?
Yeah, so what we do is we call it like we call it like a semi-close, or it's like semi-scarcity. So we close it down, but then we're going to basically open it back up. And the way we've done it a couple of different ways a few times. So with videos, what we typically will do is either we're going to do a price rise. So when the timer hits 0, the price is going to go up to the normal price. Now, there's a few different ways that we've kind of done that. Sometimes we'll do it straight away. So right, midnight, price has gone up, boom, and it's done. That's like the clean scarcity thing, and it's like it works and whatever. The one that's always worked really well is when we say the offer's not going to be available. So what we'll do is we'll basically close the offer down, get an opt-in on the page, and then we'll reopen it up in like 2 weeks' time and hit everybody again. And we normally do it with like a raw link. So all the affiliates are still getting attributed with those sales. So that's another way to do it. The other way we've done it in the past is we will shut the product down and then we'll go out and do private deals with affiliates. So publicly the offer is no longer available, but we might come to you guys and say, hey guys, like, do you want to run this on a private basis on a special deal? Because right now, if you went to videos.com, you can't buy the product, but we're working with a few of our favorite affiliates to basically run an evergreen promo. Would you want to do it? And we done it like that for years, like years and years, where if you went to videos.com, it was just a landing, it was just like an opt-in page. But all the affiliates that we had running the promo evergreen, they were selling it for ages. And that worked absolutely fine.
Yeah, that's what Thrivecart and ConvertBox, 2 products that we promote as affiliates, are still doing to this day.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like out of all the options, that's probably the best one because you'll still collect the leads on the landing page anyway. On the homepage, you'll still collect leads, so you can still warm them up, you can still sell to them and whatever. But if your affiliates are making money, they're converting really well. The last thing you want to do is stop that. So, like, you just want to find a way, make a deal with the guys, and just keep them promoting. Whether that means giving them a commission bump or whatever else, it doesn't really matter. Like, we've given away 100% on the front end before, and it's completely fine because we know what we're going to make on the back end, and that's what it comes down to. Is it's all about what you're going to make on the back, what you're going to make out of a lead, not what you're going to make straight away.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but I like what you're doing there because it is very smart. I mean, you can make custom landing pages with affiliates, front end, like your pricing model, and you've proven it out for so long now. So you can totally take a hit on the front end, or because you know what your retention looks like. I mean, it's just smart business right there.
And another thing you can do as well is like on your public page, so the main .com page, just make the pricing really high. So if you go to videos.com right now, like it's $127 for a license. But if you just wait around for our Facebook ad, you can buy it for $67. So
or buy it from one of our partners for like half off or something.
Exactly. So that way, it's a much more. It's not so gray. It's like a much more legitimate way to do it because it's like, look, the affiliate's got a special deal for real. And the pricing on the homepage for real is expensive. So you may as well just buy it off the affiliate. And that way, the scarcity is always kind of there. I guess it's not the same effect as like real scarcity, but in the buyer's head, it's like, well, I should just buy it from the affiliate now because it's on the homepage. It's so much more expensive. So why would I not buy it, kind of thing?
Sure.
And all the affiliate has to say is, look, this offer's not going to last forever. There you go. There's a scarcity. Now, forever could mean forever, or it could mean 2 hours. Like that's up to the viewer. It's up to the viewer's mind to decide that.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, there's one last topic that we did want to talk about, and I know we're already kind of getting sort of long on time.
Him getting shredded while he's growing his business, right? Wasn't that one of your things, Joey, that you're like, hey, I lost a ton of weight? And
I did, lost 117 pounds.
No, that's awesome. Congrats on that. No, but what I really want to talk about, and it actually might fall right in line. It might be in the same vein, but I did want to talk about this sort of mindset and the burnout that you felt and all that kind of stuff. How are you doing on time? Do you have the energy and alertness to hang out for another 15 minutes or so?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I've done very long nights before. It's fine.
This is worth it. No, and that's what I was leading on to is like, I know that, throughout all the ups and downs of business, you went through like a massive transformation physically. And like you just said, what was it, 117 pounds? Is that what you said?
That's it. Yeah.
Damn. That's good for you, man. So, and then of course, yeah, the mental well-being, health, and all that stuff. I'm sure it's all wrapped up in that. I mean, for
Yeah,
one,
absolutely.
it was. I mean, that's. I don't know. I don't even know how you lose 100. Like, how'd you do that? I'm sure. I mean, but like the stress of a business, it usually goes opposite. You know, you. Gain
That's what it did. That's what it did at the start, man. Like when I was when I got married, I was like 85 kilos. So I don't know what that is in pounds. Like probably like 160, 165, something like that. Maybe 170. And then by the time I was like kind of at my heaviest, I was tinkering like 280 pounds.
Whoa.
Like, and that was like over years and years of like stressing from business, worried about money. Like I was literally getting gray hairs and just, it's kind of mad. Like if you listen to some of my old videos, you can just YouTube it. If you type in like Joey Xoto Brander, which is one of our old products, like BRANDRR. If you Google that, you'll see a demo video of me like in this gray hoodie, and I'm absolutely huge. And the crazy thing about it is like, it wasn't just my size, it was my voice. Like even my voice sounded like really deep because of how heavy I was. I couldn't breathe. It was like intense. And it all came down to the amount of stress that I had just from building my business. Like I was working 18, 19 hours a day, probably, like going to sleep at like 4 or 5 in the morning, being awake at 9, 10 in the morning, because I just needed to hustle and make the business grow. And, you know, like I see it on Facebook all the time, like, oh, you know, I'm hustling 24 hours a day. And it's like, well, that sucks, doesn't it? Because that's not going to do anything good for you. Like, and I learned that over time where I basically just fell into this very, very difficult state where, you know, like I think over the years I've had like 3 kind of like mental breakdowns, like full on nervous breakdowns. Like, you know, I've been to the doctor a number of times because my stress levels are too high. I've been on medication because I couldn't handle the amount of anxiety I was having. And I'm actually quite an anxious person. Like ever since I was a kid, I've suffered from, you know, generalized anxiety. Like I'm a worrier. That's one of my biggest issues. But it's also one of the reasons why I do okay at work, because my propensity to think about the future and worry about the future is what makes me plan ahead in my business. So in work, it's amazing. Like I can preempt a lot of problems and I can figure out an issue like before it happens. But in my personal life, it's like I'm being tortured by my own mind, basically.
Sure.
So I know how that feels.
Yeah, man.
It's very, you and I are very similar in that way.
I think it's just a lot of entrepreneurs have that in them as well.
I think it's a very, very common thing amongst people who want to do well in life. And I think it's because we look at the future. Like anxiety and worry is about the future. Depression is about the past. Right. So those are the 2 things that you gotta look at. And honestly, the one thing that's really like kind of settled my mind after many years of therapy and medication and everything else is like understanding what it really means to be present is like probably the best thing any entrepreneur could have. It doesn't mean you're not going to have the same drive. It just means, you know, if any kind of unhappiness generally will come from things that have either happened in the past or things that are going to happen. And if you just actually just look around yourself in the present moment and you say, right, well, where am I right now? I'm in my living room right now. There's my kids' toys on the floor, my dog sleeping in the corner. There's nothing here that's actually going to come and attack me right now. I'm fine. Like I feel fine. I'm on a call with 2 cool guys and I feel all right. And that's all that really matters in this moment, because it's the only thing that's actually real. The only thing that's real is what's happening right now. Things that have happened in the past, they're not really my reality anymore because it's happened, right? And thing in the future, well, who knows what's going to happen? It's just like, it's one of those things where we can't control it. And I think another thing with entrepreneurs is like we're control freaks and we need to know what's going to happen. But because we always need to know, in business, that's great. Honestly, it's like an amazing thing in business, but everywhere else it sucks because you're literally torturing yourself, like, and basically just stressing yourself out. And that's all I did for years. And I became incredibly heavy and overweight. And one day I was just like, again, it was my anxious state of mind where it was like, if I don't do something about this, I'm basically going to die. Like, look, I can't keep going like this because Like, I haven't even had a kid yet. And I want to have a kid one day. Like, I've got a kid now, but like at the time it was like, if I ever have a kid, like how am I supposed to chill out with my kid and play with him or her and, have a good time and whatever. So yeah, like what ended up happening was my kid actually was born, and it was like 11 days after my kid was born. And I don't know, something just ticked in my head, and I was just like, I just need to do something about my body. And I started training, and I really put my mindset into understanding how to actually lose weight. So, I took a couple of courses, I read some books, and just really sunk my time into understanding what it takes. And honestly, the only reason that I was able to do that was because my business was flying. So my worry all of a sudden wasn't about my business anymore. And that's one of the things with anxiety and mental health. It's like your brain will focus on things until they're resolved. So once you resolve a problem, if you have an anxious mindset, you're going to find a problem to worry about. Like your brain will just look.
Just migrates around, yeah.
Literally, yeah. Like it's people who are like hypochondriac, like so people who worry about their health. So 1 minute they're going to worry about a lump on the back of their head, and they'll say, shit, I've got cancer. And then when they realize they don't have cancer because they've gone to the doctor and realized they don't, then they're going to find another one on their leg. And then it's like, what's next? Like, when does it stop? And the thing is, it doesn't ever stop, because your mind is basically in this loop of looking for a problem. So what you have to do is like reel yourself into this like present moment where, nothing's really wrong in the moment. And that's what kind of keeps me grounded right now. Like, I'm not going to say I'm perfect right now, because I'm not. Like, there's times where I still take medication, and there's times where I'm still, having a really bad day, but that's just life. Do you know what I mean? Like it's business. Like, and the more you start to achieve in life, I'm sorry to say, like it doesn't get better. It just gets harder. And you've got to find ways to manage that thing. And the way I do it is I work incredibly hard in the gym, and I really watch what I eat. And that's literally all I do. Like I count my calories. I weigh every single meal that I eat. I weigh it to make sure that I'm not eating more than I need to. And I keep my protein high, and I work out. And now I've got a six pack.
So it's all about taking that anxiety and the energy that the anxiety creates, but sort of channeling it towards something beneficial.
Yeah,
exactly. Like if you're doing it for a good thing, like I don't think it's a problem. Like a lot of people think it's compulsive, like the way that I eat, but it probably is. But it keeps me healthy, and
I think it's great.
I'm doing all right. Like I feel 10 years younger than I did 10 years ago. So
yeah, if you can sustain that. And I think you said something very important is the, depression is looking in the past, anxiety is looking in the future. And it seems like the wider that gap goes, like if you're always looking way back into the past at some like horrific thing, I don't know, whatever it might be, but whatever that, how far away from the balance is, which is that present moment in the middle, which is never perfect, but at least we're like aiming to be balanced in the middle. However wider it gets, it's just going to feel like you're a little off. You're not going to get in your flow. Things aren't going to look right in life. So I think just knowing that balance and knowing that perspective is going to help a lot of folks here.
Honestly, just a little bit of headspace a day is all we need. Like the amount of time we spend staring at our phone doing nothing, like just scrolling through Facebook for 7 or 10, 11, 15 minutes a day. Like you could spend 10 minutes a day just doing a little bit of headspace, a bit of meditation, and it would do a world of wonder for the mind.
For sure, man.
I agree. No, a lot of these realizations. You mentioned you did a whole bunch of therapy and stuff. Was a lot of this through that? Did you go to therapy, and therapy was sort of how you sort of fleshed all of this out, or was it something else? Or how did you sort of come to these conclusions that really sort of helped you and put you on this right trajectory?
Like I did a lot of things to just work on myself. Like I realized the way that I was kind of operating in my mind wasn't optimal for my personal health, like my personal life. Business was fine, but like as soon as your personal life kind of starts to deteriorate, it's going to bounce into your business anyway. Mm-hmm. So I started going to therapy kind of like twice a week to begin with, which is quite a lot, but like I just felt like I really needed it. And through my sessions, like I discovered like a lot of different things that I feel were missing from my life. And ultimately it just came down to, it sounds like it's like got nothing to do with anything, but it was actually my ego. Like my ego was a big part of why I felt anxious and why I still feel anxious now. And I think a lot of people probably don't realize how much of an effect their ego can have on their life in weird ways that you probably don't even realize. But
like, what are what's an example of that you deal with still?
I guess your expectations of yourself and where you think you should be. That all comes from your inner ego, and it's like, you know, we always kind of like want to be the best, and we always want to be at the top of the mountain, and we got to be better than everybody else on all of this kind of thing. And I think it took me a while to just kind of like accept and be content with where I'm at right now. And again, it just comes back to this whole concept of being happy with where you're at right now. And, you know, I still aspire to be a billionaire, of course. Like I'm going to work to get to the billionaire level, but I'm not going to fixate my mindset on that future thing that to the point where it's going to take control of my ego and my actions and my behavior. I just want to be happy and content with where I'm at now and do things right now that are going to make me feel good. So a lot of the things that I do is just about focusing myself where I am now. So I meditate every day. I've just started doing yoga a couple of times a week. I invested in a life coach because I thought, you know, everybody at a high level has a coach or a guide or a mentor of some kind. And a really interesting thing, right, I learned in therapy, and I think anybody that's made money is going to have this thing where basically your life becomes boundless and there's no boundaries in your life, right? Now that sounds amazing. Sounds awesome. Like if you could just be a kid in a candy shop and you could have every single sweet you want, it sounds really good. But actually, it's totally fucked up because human beings, right, we need accountability and we need boundaries, because without boundaries, we basically have too many options. And when a human being has too many options, we tend to do things that are going to basically ultimately implode on ourselves. I know this sounds kind of philosophical and whatever,
but totally makes sense. I mean,
good,
we're following along with you perfectly.
There's this really interesting story. I won't go more than this because I don't want to like bore you guys. But like, there's a really interesting story that Guy Ritchie talks about, and people have probably heard it before. But basically, it's about this father who has two sons, and one of the kids is like this younger kid who basically has all this money from the father, and he basically leaves home because he wants to go away and do his own thing. So the other son says, you know what, Dad, I'm going to stay with you because, you know, I want to stay with you. I want to look after you and work with you and, you know, look after the house and stuff. So the young kid goes away and he goes crazy. He, you know, hangs out with women and alcohol, cocaine, whatever the hell else he could think of. It. He went absolutely crazy, right? And then after a couple of years, the young kid comes back and the dad says to him, like, I'm really happy to have you back and I'm going to throw a massive party for you. And then the older son is like, well, what about me? Like, I've stayed all this time. Like, why don't you want to throw a party for me? And the dad says, well, you're fine. Like, you're fine where you are. Now, the moral of that story has never been told. Like, there's never actually been a full-on analogy of what this story really means. And it was Guy Ritchie on Joe Rogan's podcast who basically explained it. And what it is the father is basically you. And the young kid is your wild mind when it goes into these crevices of life when you've got all this money and you want to do all this crazy shit. And then the older kid is basically the wise you. Now, the actual like kind of moral of this is that when the younger part of you goes away and it does all this crazy stuff, eventually it's going to want to come home and just be normal again. And it comes back to this simple idea that no matter how much money you make, no matter how far you go in life, right, it's always going to come back to you wanting just to have normal balance and having a normal life. And I know that sounds probably opposite to what people think they want, but speaking from my own experience and somebody who's gone and spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars on things that I probably shouldn't have spent money on, like I can promise you that ultimately being in the comfort of life in your normal, and you're doing your normal things day to day are where you're going to have the most happiness at the end. And I think that's really important to understand as an entrepreneur, not to focus on, God, I want to go and buy my Lamborghini and I want to go buy this massive mansion. It's the things you've got right now are really precious. And ultimately, those are the things that are actually going to keep you grounded long term anyway. So
Yeah, we actually did an exercise. Remember, it was at like AJ Roberts' event, and it was. I don't remember the exact exercise, but it was something like, write down the top 5 most impactful memories throughout your life where you remember being the happiest, right? And everybody in the room wrote down their 5 happiest moments. And then he sort of went around the room and asked people to kind of read off some of their stuff. Literally not a single person in the room had anything to say about a time that they got a new toy or stuff, or like the day I bought my boat or the day I bought my Ferrari. It was nothing like that. It was always stuff like, I remember, my wedding day, or the day my child was born, or, the day we had this amazing picnic with the family and everybody was just so happy and it was an amazing day. It was stuff like that. That was all the stuff that when people looked back throughout their life, what was the stuff that had the most impact on them today? And it never, ever, ever had to do anything with material things. Nobody's responses did.
Yeah, I mean, I could totally relate, man. Like, I think every entrepreneur goes through this moment where you want to do those things, and I absolutely encourage it, because if you don't do it, you're going to eventually do it anyway, because it's just human nature. Like, and there's a reason why people, when they win like the lottery and they win the big jackpot, there's like such a high percentage of people that end up basically ruining their entire lives. And the reason it happens is because like there is a psychological maturity that you need to be able to progress past having money. And I think as an entrepreneur, you've got to be so conscious of that thing, because like that thing that we're chasing, the money and all of that, like it doesn't really do anything in the end.
Well, the money has power over you if you let it. That's like those, anybody comes into money fast, like lottery or a business owner or anything. It's like you're saying, establish what are the things that are actually, my values, what I really want out of life. Maybe even list them out. I know Matt and I have done this with a coach as well before. And we looked at the total, like all the things that we wanted, which were not really a lot of things. It was more like time freedom, but we just attached dollar amounts to it. We're like, wow, that actually doesn't take that much money. We're like pretty much right there. We're like, what else do we really need?
That's pretty much what my year is about this year, is like I've invested a lot of money into my own mental health. So I've got like a life coach, and I still go to my therapy sessions, and I've signed myself up for like martial arts, yoga, and I'm just doing all these things that are basically there to help build up my character. And like I used to drive a really nice car, man. Like it was like a customized green Audi RS5. It was like the only one in the country that was made in this way. And I remember when I bought it and I was so excited. And then I remember the day that I sold it too. And I sold it and basically just went and bought like a really normal car. And it was just funny because like a couple of the people in like on my staff and stuff were just like, how come you got rid of the car? And I was like, why not? Like, I just don't need it. And I feel I just felt content about the decision to basically downgrade my car and spend the money on things that are going to better my life.
That's what I was going to ask. Was like, how did it feel like letting that go? But yeah, you were content. It was like, it must have been like freedom. You're like, yeah, I didn't really need that after all. Like I have a Tesla and I'm just like, I always thought like, oh, this is my dream car. I love it. I look at it, I'm like, yeah, it's a cool car, but I could do without it. I don't really give a shit.
Well,
like it's just
almost
a car.
every material thing you end up buying, eventually you take for granted, right?
And it doesn't take long.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter what it is.
Yeah,
it's like when you buy a new phone, right?
Exactly, Same thing. So.
Yeah, and I think part of the key is just like realizing that's. There's a lot of people that have like these rules, like when I'm about to buy something on Amazon, the 24-hour rule. Put it in your wish list, come back 24 hours, see if you still want it. If you still want it in 24 hours, then buy it, right? And
renting. I like that. Go rent some stuff for a while. You know?
Yeah. Just like, when it comes to like making buying decisions for material things, give yourself some space to, say, I really want that. Put some thought into it, debate about it a little bit, and then still just, after some time has passed, decide if you still want it or not. And I'd say 9 out of 10 times you find, I don't really need to order that thing right now. There was somebody that was on a Tim Ferriss podcast. He was interviewing somebody, and he was saying that like he actually has a goal of like stringing together as many days as possible without buying stuff, and he gets huge fulfillment when he like strings together like 2 weeks without like ordering something on Amazon, or like he still gets food and gas and necessities and stuff, but buying like items off of Amazon and stuff, which, I don't know how it is in the UK. And Amazon here in the US, it's like I could order something and literally have it at my house in 2 hours. So it's very, very easy to just like go buy stuff and have it here and have that almost instant gratification. And whoever I was listening to, it might have been Derek Sivers actually on Tim Ferriss. He was talking about how he actually tries to string together as many days as he can without buying things. And the fulfillment actually comes in his sort of like gratification of knowing how many days he's strung out of not buying stuff.
That's cool. I like that.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Cool little like exercise or experiments you can do. Actually, I had one more question about the life coach specifically. How did you actually find a life coach? Because I almost feel like when I hear the term life coach, I almost sort of think like part of me thinks there's like some predatory life coaches out there that are just like, hey, I'm a dude and I don't know what to do with my life, so I'm going to be a life coach. Like I do think there is some of that in the life coach world. And so I'm kind of curious how you sort of found and vetted the person you're working with.
Honestly, I must have spoken to like 15 different people, because you're absolutely right. Like the scary thing is like a lot of the life coaches are from the IM kind of community. So you'll see them using like, like sales funnels and things like that, which is fine, which is totally fine. But there is definitely like a predatorial kind of thing with life coaches online where they're charging extortionate money. There was a guy who wanted to charge me like $25,000 for 6 hours, which is like ridiculous.
Right.
And it was just a case of getting on the phone, doing consultations. It took me like almost 5 or 6 weeks before I actually chose one, because I just wanted to make sure it was someone who, I think one of the big things is making sure that they're qualified in some sort of psychotherapy or psychological kind of study. Because I think having a life coach who kind of understands some therapeutic method is important, because they need to kind of get that. Like they need to understand why you think a certain way and be able to ask you questions in the right way. I use both. Like I have a therapist and a life coach because I think they both do really different things. Like a therapist is like somebody who will help you to look at things from a different perspective without necessarily telling you what to do, because they can't.
Yep.
Whereas a life coach will get you to focus more on, right, what do you want to accomplish? Let's make a plan to make that happen, and I'm going to help you do it. So they do two different things, and when you put them together, they kind of work really nicely together. So that's worked really well for me.
Very cool. Yeah, I've therapy is something I've done in the online world. That there's sites like BetterHelp, and I think one of them's called like 7 Cups, and then there's another one called.
There's a bunch of them now.
There's like 3 Talkspace.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So BetterHelp, Talkspace, and 7 Cups are the 3 that I know of, and I've actually done 2 of those on like a trial basis, and I didn't really feel like I got a whole lot out of the sort of chat-based therapy. So it's actually something that's on my list for this year to explore further.
Yeah.
You really need to give therapy like 5 or 6 sessions for it to really start bedding in, because the problem with therapy is like it takes time for a therapist to really be able to understand you, because they need to know so much about you before they could really start offering you insight. So like my therapist, Dan, like I've been seeing him for almost a year or something. And, it was about 3 months into it where he started saying stuff that just was so profound to me. And it was like, it's incredible that you can see that about me, because I've never noticed that about myself before. And it's because I spent so much time kind of telling him all these different things. And a lot of the time it's stuff that you say in such a casual, blasé way where the therapist will pick up on it and say, well, do you realize you said this last week and this could mean this? And you're like, oh shit, like I didn't think about it like that.
Yeah.
So it's really, really useful to do over a long period of time.
Yeah, I think more my issue was I don't think I was a fan of just like the text chatting back and forth, where you're essentially on like a Slack-like system where you're just having conversations through text, because a lot of the sort of emotions and your tone when you're talking and stuff like that isn't conveyed in that way.
Well, a lot of people do it virtually, right? Like over video as well.
Yeah, I mean Seven Cups doesn't do that. Seven Cups is just purely text.
Yeah,
that was the one that I actually spent some time on. BetterHelp and Talkspace, I think actually you can do over the phone sessions as well.
Oh, phone. Okay.
Yeah.
I think seeing somebody in person is a lot more effective because it's like, you're right there and they can see how you're acting. My therapist looks at the way that I'm sitting. Do you know what I mean? Like, and he'll know when I'm kind of not feeling comfortable just based on my body language. And I think those kind of things are important. Right. David, my business partner, he goes to the same therapist actually.
Nice.
David's also had quite a bit of experience with like mental health stuff. Like he actually wrote an article on LinkedIn just last week about his depression. Which is quite a good read if you want to give it a read.
Do you mind sharing that? I'd be curious, and we can link it up as well.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a good read.
I feel like I do think therapy would be valuable, and I think a lot more people should be taking advantage of it. I think therapy seems kind of intimidating to people, though. I know, at least for me, going in and the thought of going and sitting down in an office and just sort of unloading my vulnerabilities on somebody that I've just met for the first time sounds very sort of daunting and scary to me. There's definitely that mental barrier to entry that I think has held me back and probably has held a lot of other people back. So I'm curious, was there any specific catalyst or something that finally got you to just go do it?
Yeah, like I think there's quite a negative stigma with therapy because I think the initial thought people probably have to themselves, it definitely was what I had, was like, I'm seeing a therapist, which means I'm crazy. Mm-hmm. Like, and that's kind of like the way that I thought about it, but it really just isn't the case. Like some of the people that my therapist sees are, really high political figures, vicars and doctors and, really high level people. So I don't think it's a case of being crazy. I think it's just a case of, anxiety, depression. These are, in a way, the diseases of intelligent people. And the more intellectual you are, the deeper of a thinker you are. And unfortunately, when you think really deep, you think about things probably to excess, and that's why therapy helps. Yeah. To answer your question, like it was just the fact that my anxiety was that bad. Like it was to a point where I started getting a lot of physical symptoms from anxiety, where I started getting pains in my legs, migraines, heart palpitations, and all these kinds of things, which I thought I just thought I was just basically getting ill and dying, basically. Yeah. And when I went to see my physiotherapist, who was basically giving me like a muscle massage, I told him about how I was feeling, and I said, like, I'm getting all these pains and I need to figure out what it is. And then he checked my entire body and he was just like, do you suffer from anxiety? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't really know what anxiety is. And then after he explained it to me, like literally as he explained it, all the pain literally left my body. And I was like, this is weird. And what it was like, my mind was basically having this realization that I'm basically manifesting all this pain because of my worry. And like, it was really interesting to me that my mind had that much of a effect on my physical symptoms. Like it was insane. Yeah. So that's what pretty much set me off. And I think, honestly, like if I couldn't recommend it enough, like we're actually looking at rolling out an incentive plan at our work where we basically offer an allocated number of sessions to all our staff. It's not something we rolled out yet, but we're going to basically allow staff members to tap into it every month. If they want to go, they can go.
I think that's super smart, man. And just imagine like how much freedom people will feel and more, energy they can bring to work and also just life in general.
Yeah, man. I think honestly, this day and age, I think more people are probably anxious and not realize it. And I think that's pretty scary. Like I know I've spoken to people. We've got a non-executive director in our business. His name's Ian. And he basically is he acts like an advisor kind of thing. And, he's a little bit older than us and stuff. And he's quite hypochondriac. He goes to the doctor all the time. And I remember just saying to him, like, I think you suffer from anxiety. And I don't think Ian really knew what it even was. Like, and until we started really talking about it, I think he kind of realized that that a lot of the things that he's feeling and a lot of the symptoms he's getting is basically just a manifestation of his mind.
Yep.
And like, we're talking about somebody who's, in their 40s, really intelligent guy. He sold loads of businesses, he's a multi-millionaire, and he's not crazy, but it's just something that people don't realize that can happen. And I think until you kind of recognize that, you got to go and just even having it's just a conversation at the end of the day. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's I've definitely battled with. I've had some pretty big bouts with anxiety, but just the thought of going to a therapist gives me anxiety. So.
Well, Matt, I mean, you and I are in the same exact. I had a freaking rough year last year, but just like leading up, like I know Matt and I mean everyone, like you said, it's like I like what you said, it's a disease of intelligent people. I don't know if that's just like, hey, go us, we're smart, but I think this helped me. I know this helped me because a lot of the objections, like that you said, like, oh, that's for crazy people, like that's exactly what goes on in my mind, even though I know it's like just conversations. Because my wife, because my father actually like committed suicide last year, and then I had a baby. So it's like douche, and then business. And so my wife's constantly saying, she's like, you need to go see a therapist. Like it would be really helpful to go see someone and just talk things out. And I think Matt, you and I, man, I think you and I should actually both go see someone. I don't know, same person or different people, but at least like I'm just thinking how
I could get the therapist to share all your secrets with me.
No. Yeah. You know them all.
I know, that's true. There is no secrets. No, but we actually know Hollis Carter and what's his partner? I'm drawing a blank. Lovitch, Michael Lovitch.
Oh, Michael Lovitch. Yes.
Those two, they're business partners, and they hired a couples counselor, and they actually go to couples therapy together as business partners.
Well, I don't want to go. I don't think together is not what I'm saying.
Probably not.
Separately.
I thought that's what you were going for a second.
It's not unheard of. Like I know a couple of people who go together who are like best friends and things like that. And I think honestly, like sometimes, especially Joe, like something as significant as that, as what you've experienced, like sometimes in the moment you probably don't realize like how much of effect that can have. Maybe not in the moment, but sometimes decades later. And it's really interesting how. I mean, what I've realized in myself is like, I've had things happen to me when I was 15, 16 years old, and now I'm 31 and they're totally coming back to fuck me up. And it's like, oh, I didn't realize that was going to cause this much of an issue. Like, and it was such a small thing, but something as big as like an incident like that is like, it wouldn't hurt just having a conversation about it.
For sure, man. Yeah, no, you definitely, you said the right things and I'm going to do it because I love it.
The more successful people we have on this podcast that we interview, the more of a recurring theme of therapy is coming up.
All the time,
Mike Dillard talked about it. Justin Goff talked about it. We've talked about it with
Theo.
Theo talked about it. I mean,
it's all the time. It's high achievers, high successful people. It's just big thinking. Like whenever we're using our brain, and then you layer in just being human and different traumatic events that we all experience along the way. It seems like a great thing.
I think it's almost 11 p.m. where you're at, so we should probably start to wrap this session up.
Joey, thank you. You're one of our longer episodes, but this flew by, man.
No, that's all good, man. I've really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed being on.
Do you have any books that you find yourself recommending often, or that you refer back to? Any books that are just real impactful for you that we can share with our audience?
Man, like there's a lot of books that I always go back to, but ones that I would really recommend, The Courage to Be Disliked is a profound book, which you'll need to listen to a couple of times to really grasp. But it's basically a book on Japanese philosophy. And essentially all it is a conversation between a young student who's a bit of a rebel and an older wise man. And basically the younger guy is basically trying to challenge the older guy who's a philosopher and saying, well, your philosophy sucks because X, Y, Z. So I really recommend getting the audio version because it's actually like a conversation between two people, and it's quite cool.
Is that didn't Rich Sheffrin recommend that book?
I think we literally, because we were sitting with Rich Sheffrin the other day, and he recommended that same book.
That's two people to say
amazing.
That book within a 3-day period for us.
That's true.
So
two smart dudes. So the audio,
very very good book.
Got it.
Cool. Other than that, The Obstacle is the Way is a great book by Ryan Holiday. I'm sure many people have said that one.
That's a good one. Yep.
I love that book. Yeah. That's one that I think you should probably listen to or read once a year, because that's just great reminders every time you listen to it.
Yeah, he also sells the Stoic Diary,
Daily
which is really
Stoic.
cool. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and it has like a daily thing in there, which is really cool. I bought that last year, and I read it for a couple of months, and I ended up putting it somewhere and forgot where. But
yeah, he's actually launching a daily calendar, like a tear-off calendar, where every day you kind of tear off the page, and it's got a new sort of stoic message on every day of the calendar.
Nice.
I think there's even a daily email if you just wanted to get it that way. But I did the same thing, Joey. Last year I gave up like halfway through, but every day this year so far I've read my kitchen counter, so it's helpful. It's a good book.
Do you know what? The last book I would recommend is a journal, like for yourself, because it's a remarkably therapeutic way to have your evening roll by. Even if you don't do it every day, I do it but like once every week or so. And honestly, like not just from a personal perspective, but from business, like when you write shit down, it's just like, it's so different to typing stuff and reading stuff on the internet and your phone and that kind of thing. Because what happens when you're journaling, right, is like, when you write something down, you can't delete it. Like you can't say, that doesn't sound good, so I'm just going to delete that line. I'm going to rewrite it. Like you can't do that. So you've got to really think about what you're going to put when you put pen to paper. Journaling has like completely changed my mindset in a lot of ways. Like I highly recommend it. And there's one particular journal called the Mind Journal. And it's basically a journal that's designed for men. Now, it doesn't have to be just for men. Like I actually bought 3 copies and I gave it to a couple of girls in our office. But Mind Journal is amazing. I think it's just mindjournal.com or something like that. If you Google it, you'll be able to see it. And that's a really cool journal for anybody who wants to get into journaling, and I really recommend doing that.
Very nice. Cool. Yeah, I love journaling. I'm a very much a free form journaler. I've tried like the 5-minute journal, and then there's like these Evo journals that we have, and I actually got one of John Lee Dumas's journals, like the Freedom Journal or something years and years ago. And any one that sort of restricts me on what I can write, I never stick with. The one journal that I've stuck with for 7 years now is a spiral bound notebook that I just open up and write with pen and paper in.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah. No, I like cool. What you said about writing. Because I'll go back and forth, and I always find myself looking back. I'm like, man, I really felt like I had a better formed idea when I hand write. And I like what you said. You can't delete what you wrote, so it's like, yep, you're right.
And I'll like sketch pictures in my journal and stuff too. I'll actually write stuff out and then be like, you know what, this is better in visual, and I'll actually start drawing pictures in my journal to like visualize my thoughts and stuff. And you can't really do that if you're using like some sort of text editor kind of thing, you know?
You're the modern day Da Vinci, Matt.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm going for. Well, Joey, where can people go learn about your software, learn more about you? Where do you want to send them after listening to this episode?
Yeah, man. So you could check out our main software. It's just videos.com. Videos is spelled VIDDYOZE.com.
Cool.
And that's it, man. You could add us on Instagram. It's just at videos. You could add me at Joey Xoto if you want. I'm also on LinkedIn and wherever else. So just reach out. I'm happy to have a chat if anybody wants to connect.
Sweet. All right, man.
We'll link all that stuff up in the show notes. And
appreciate you staying up late with us. And yeah, man.
Yeah, no problem, man.
We'll do it again. I'm sure we can have a round 2, and it'll probably go just as long.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Man. Good talking to you.
Thanks, man.
Hey. Thank you for listening to that episode. This is Joe Fier. I'm sure you probably already knew that. And Matt is not here right now, but I'm pretty sure he enjoyed the episode just as much as you and I did, because, he went into the production of kind of making that thing right along with me. So thank you very much. And I want to give a quick shout out to our buddies over at Easy Webinar. These guys have been supporting us for a long time. And Casey Zeman is just a super good guy all around. He's actually been on the show before. He's the founder of Easy Webinar. So if you look up Casey Zeman on any podcast platform you're listening to, go check him out. Go check out his backstory, what he's all about. You can learn a lot about webinars as well. And right now, Easy Webinar, these guys are actually hooking you up with a great trial. It's a completely free trial to test out their software, soup to nuts, check it all out and see if it's a good fit for you. If you go to easywebinar.com/hustle, that's HUSTLE, if you didn't know how to spell hustle. There you go. So if you go to easywebinar.com/hustle, you can go grab a free trial. And Easy Webinar literally lives up to its name. It's super simple. I mean, super easy. And it does all the stuff that you're looking for in any kind of thing with webinars. I mean, they literally cover every single type of webinar you possibly can do. So from live to automated to scheduled at specific times and all these crazy features in between. Can't even list them all out. I'll be here way too long. They give you a ton of advanced analytics, what's working, what's not during your webinar based off all these actions. You'll see who attended, how long they stayed, if they clicked the offer or if they didn't. Basically, you're going to make more money. And you're going to work less with this thing, and you're going to create better relationships with the folks that are listening because it's a good experience. You want to give that good experience along with some great content, of course, and a killer offer if that's what you got for them. So go try it out yourself. Go check out easywebinar.com/hustle. That's easywebinar.com/hustle. Alrighty. So that is the end of this episode. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, enjoying it. Hopefully you did. I'm pretty sure you did if you lasted this long. And go check out Easy Webinar when you get the chance, and we will talk to you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody, for listening to this episode of the Hustle and Flowchart podcast. Before taking the time to listen, we want to give you something a little bit special. Every single episode that we do, we actually have somebody on our team take notes. We basically have a Cliff's Notes version of every episode where you can go and find all of the tips and tactics that they laid out, all of the resources that they laid out, all the good stuff from this episode. We actually have a nice simple notes version that you can find on our website. So go to evergreenprofits.com, find this episode that you just listened to, and give us your email address and we'll send you the notes. Thanks for listening.
Go get it.
Wiki.